In this video, we're going to talk all about triangulation, what it is, why it's so triggering for virtually everyone, and what to do about it, how to remove this pattern from your life, and remove the negative feelings that it keeps triggering in you. Welcome to the Common Ego community. My name is Christina, and today we're talking about triangulation. Okay, so what is triangulation? Triangulation is an emotionally abusive tactic that is very, very commonly used by narcissists and other manipulators. So in a relationship that has triangulation, there will be you, let's call you the target. There will be the manipulator, we'll call that person the narcissist, and there is a third party. Sometimes there are more than one other person. Maybe there's a fourth party, a fifth party. But for now, we're just going to keep it simple. So if it's a romantic relationship, oftentimes it's the target, the narcissist, and the ex. It could also be somebody from work. It really could be anyone. It could be someone on television, right? But oftentimes it's the ex in a romantic situation. If we're talking about a narcissistic parent, that the target is going to be one of the children, unfortunately, and then there's the narcissist, and then there's the other child. And in this case, there's a term for it that people call that child the golden child. That's the child who can do no wrong. So the target is left to feel like they're never good enough. They're never going to be seen in the same light as the other child. This could happen also in a friendship. I think it's probably not as common, but it could happen in a circle of friends. So again, same thing, the target, the narcissist, and a third person. So you will feel like, if the narcissist is the leader of the group of friends or the most extroverted person, then you feel like you're always kind of the third wheel. Like they make you feel like your opinion doesn't matter next to this other person. So those are some basic types of triangulation. What it feels like is you're at the bottom of the triangle, and then there's the narcissist, and then there's the target at the top. That's what it feels like. But what it's like to the narcissist, to the person who's pulling the strings, they're at the top, and there are two people at the bottom, because no one shares space with the narcissist, and no one is actually above the narcissist in their mind. So why is triangulation so triggering? And it is triggering, right? It's triggering to virtually everyone. And I think it has something to do with the fact that we're raised in a competitive society. From the time we're young, we're taught to compete. We compete in board games, video games, sports. We're always competing with each other. And triangulation plays on that competitive nature. You end up feeling like you're in a competition with the other person. Obviously, if it's a narcissistic parent, you don't really have a choice in staying in the situation, right? But in your adult life, you have a choice usually, and you end up feeling like you're in a competition. Like you feel like it's a game, and it is. It most definitely is a game, but it's not the game you think. It's not you competing against someone else. It's the narcissist toying with both of you, is what's going on to boost their own ego. Because nothing boosts somebody's ego like two people who feel like they have to compete for that person's attention. So it's a really, really messed up dynamic. It messes with your mind, I think, for a lot longer than some of the other emotionally abusive tactics. Now, again, I talked about how triangulation is triggering to everyone, and it is. But it may be more triggering to certain people. So, for example, in my relationship, triangulation was so strong. That was the main form of devaluation. There were others, but that was the main form of devaluation. And I believe that we attract the relationships in our lives that we really need. The relationships that we attract are there, especially these painful ones, are there to show us stuff that we need to really look at. So if you're in a relationship that had a lot of triangulation, there may be a reason that that is a theme that's coming up in your life. And there may be a reason that it's more triggering for you than it would be for someone else, because maybe you've dealt with it before. So finally, we're going to talk about how to put this in the rearview mirror, how to get past it, how to get rid of those pesky feelings when you think about it, and how to make sure it doesn't happen again. So the first thing is to recognize that it still has power over you if it does. And if it does, that's okay. We're not judging our own feelings, we're just recognizing them. So if you feel like it still has power over you, not just acknowledge it. And then we're going to dig into why that might be. But first, we're going to talk a little bit about this game. One way to get over this is to understand the game. This isn't the game you thought you were playing. And if anyone wins, it's the person who gets out. So one of the reasons why triangulation sticks with you is because oftentimes the other person is left behind. So you still have those old thoughts going like, well, I'm out now, so they win. And you know that that's not true, but there's still that old thought pattern that's creeping up in you, that's driving that feeling in you that you need to address. So you really need to take a hard look at it and understand that if anyone's winning in this situation, it's you, because you got out. You are the only one in this situation. If that other person is still there, you are the only one in this situation who has a chance to move on and be happy. Those other people, the narcissist does not have a chance to be happy. And as long as somebody is mixed up with a narcissist, they do not have a chance to be happy, not truly happy. They can once they get out of it, but for now they do not. So the final way to put all this triangulation nonsense behind you is to deal with the deeper issues that might be at play here. And if this is a big trigger for you, there might be a reason. It might have been something you've experienced before. If you have a narcissistic parent and you were triangulated as a child, especially if you were not the golden child, this may be coming up so that you can face that and deal with those feelings. But it's common for people who have narcissistic parents to grow up and enter into relationships with narcissists because we repeat what we've learned in childhood. You may not have had a narcissistic parent, but you may have had, if you're experiencing triangulation, there may have been other examples of triangulation in your past from your childhood that you may want to explore. If you feel comfortable doing the work yourself, you can make a lot of headway by just digging in yourself and remembering things, trying to remember how it made you feel. These are big emotions for a child. And when it happened when you were a child, you may not have been able to handle it then. But as long as it's nothing terribly traumatic, you can probably handle it now. But you have to really invite that healing into your life in order for it to happen. If you've had a trauma that you are not comfortable facing, now I'm not saying that you shouldn't face it at all, but don't do it alone. Seek out the help of a professional. Maybe go to a counselor, a holistic healer. Find somebody you're comfortable with that you can talk to about this stuff and let them know what you want to do. Let them know that you're seeing these patterns in your adult life and you have a feeling that it's linked to something that happened in your childhood that may have been traumatic. So you want to explore it, but you want to do it in a safe environment. So that is all I have to say about triangulation. I feel like it's a lot. But I really want to hear your experiences. If you were a victim of triangulation in your adult relationships, how did that leave you feeling? Is it something that lingered with you? It might have to do with how strong the triangulation was in your relationship and how triggering it is for you personally. but I would love to hear about it. So let me know in the comments. And if you're interested in this topic, if you're interested in learning about spirituality through emotional abuse, that's what we talk about here. So feel free to subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you can be notified whenever I post new videos. Right now we're doing them daily, and I'm going to do that for as long as I can. So that's all for now. Okay, talk soon.